Well, if the president says that he wants a balanced approach in dealing with this debt mess, my next guest says he has already got one side taken care of, the tax hike side. Because Betsy McCaughey says, don't forget the $400 billion in tax hikes that are already built into the new health care law. The former New York lieutenant governor joining me right now. Explain.
Well, that's right. The president has a plan. It's 4 words: balanced approach, shared sacrifice, but they turn out to be weasel words. He says we need to combine the spending cuts with tax increases. And he must assume that we're stupid enough not to remember that just 16 months ago, the Obama health law raised our taxes by $503 billion.
Give me a couple of examples. Tax, like when you sell your house.
Well,
go ahead.
The Medicare payroll tax goes up from 2.9% to 3.8% for earners over $250,000.
And when does that occur?
That in 2013.
Okay.
A new Medicare unearned income tax will hit you if you sell your home and make a profit, or sell stocks, or earn other kinds of, quote, unearned income. There are taxes on a whole array of health products and consumer products that ultimately come out of the consumer's pocket. There's a whopping 40% excise tax on generous health plans starting in 2018. Now, you haven't felt the effects of these tax hikes because they don't go into effect until 2013 or later, but the money is as good as out of your pocket because they are the law. So the tax hike side of this balanced approach has already happened.
All right. Now, the administration would argue that that's already been baked into the cake. People know that. That's separate from the dead deal we're talking about.
That reminds me of when you go out to dinner with a pal and you pick up the tab, and the next night you go out to dinner with him and he says, let's be fair, let's split the tab. And you say, wait a second, I paid my share last night. And that's exactly it. So the tax hikes are already baked into this deal. It's time for the Washington spendaholics to cut spending.
But we're scaring grandma again, right? I mean, that's the whole idea.
Now, this is the other equation, shared sacrifice. Well, that sounds fair, but don't call on seniors to make the sacrifice, because under the Obama health law, Medicare's future funding was already cut by $500 billion over the next 10 years. $500 billion. It was taken out of Medicare and moved over to fund a vast increase of Medicaid and new subsidies for middle-class families, 2 new entitlements. So when the president says shared sacrifice and entitlement reform, fine, but don't go after grandma again. If you want to reform entitlements, start with the 2 you just created. Or how about furloughing some of the federal workforce? Washington is fat and happy under this president. 107,000 new federal
here,
jobs.
Instead of fat, if you could use calorically challenged. Continue.
Calorically challenged and happy in Washington. So if we're going to cut somewhere, how about this bloated federal workforce instead of grandma again?
But what would be the logistics here, Betsy, if we're facing next Tuesday, we don't meet the deadline, everyone says, oh, we're going to default, we're going to default. We don't have to, right? In other words, the government then could prioritize what bills to pay.
Well, first of all, there will be 75% of all the money needed to go on as usual. First priorities will be paying the interest on the debt. The Constitution requires it.
Because not paying that would, in fact, be a default.
That's right.
Continue.
Okay. Social Security, we're fine till 2038. The Social Security Trust Fund is all set to go. So when you hear threats that grandma won't get her check, that's only if the president decides not to send that check.
But he has that power. That's his call.
That would be a politically retributive move. It would be.
It would also
nasty
be very
politics.
stupid. It would also be stupid.
That's right.
So handicap it for me. Do we default?
I don't think so.
I don't
but a big mistake.
The fact that I don't
would be to
either,
give the
does that
president
worry you? Does it worry that you and I agree?
The president has asked for a whopping debt increase 2 or 3 times what's usual to take us through the 2012 election. That would be a mistake.
Why?
Because ordinarily the debt ceiling is raised every 6 months or a year. He says, let's not let politics get into this issue. It is the key political issue of our generation, the size and cost of government. We must decide.
But he's also saying he doesn't want to go through this kabuki theater.
Of course he doesn't want to run on his spending and borrowing record. He wants to run away from it.
Okay. Betsy, thank you very, very much.